The Torah portion says, "V'asu li migdash v'shachanti b'soichem." They shall make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell in their midst. And the sanctuary that they describe doesn't exist today. Didn't exist during the time of the temple. So it was a one-time deal. Why is it important to learn about the tabernacle? The answer is they were living in a desert for 40 years, going from place to place. They had no permanent place, so they had to make a structure and make that a sanctuary. Wherever they were in the desert, in the harshest of climates, they have to make a sanctuary, and they have to make it as beautiful as possible, and there God will dwell. And so we, B'nai Yisrael, we Jewish people, we people of Israel, we live in a desert. There is no godliness. There's no Moshe Rabbeinu. There's no Ruach HaKodesh that we see. So it's a desert. And in that desert we have to have a sanctuary, make a sanctuary. I merited to talk to and have people revealing themselves to me about their lives. And I had the wondrous merit of Reb Leizer Nanes Olav Hasholim. If I was a Masnagid, I would say Zeichet Tzadik Livroche. But Reb Leizer Nanes Olav Hasholim, who spent 20 years in the Gulag, when he came out, verbrengt with the Tmimim, with the Talmidim of Lubavitch, he sat opposite me for 6-7 hours straight and verbrengt. Talked about his life, talked about events of his life. And then at different occasions, I had the schus of seeing him, and he revealed things to me. I don't know why. He talked to me so long, but that's the way it was. And one of the stories he told me is as follows. While he was in jail, a specific jail, I don't know, remember the name. It was a brutal jail, and they had no toilets. The only toilets you had was downstairs in the hallway. Before they let you use the toilet, they would make you exercise for about 15-20 minutes. You walked. You had to hold your head down like this. You're not allowed to look to your sides, just walk straight. One group walked in one circle, and another group walked in another circle around them in a different direction. Leizer was a very crafty man, and he would look, he didn't openly look like this, but like this, he saw what was going on. And he saw in the circle that was going around the other way, he saw a young man about 18, 19 years old, and his eyes were sunken. It looked like the young man had cried his eyes out all night, and he looked very pale and looked very bad. The next day looked even worse. This went on for a few days, and Leizer knew he had to do something about it. Because in the jails, you didn't die from hunger or disease. They were contributing factors. But you died from loneliness, from the belief that nobody cared. Nobody wanted to know who you were. Nobody cared about you. That psychologically destroyed you. And he knew that if this boy didn't have somebody coming to help him, he would die within a matter of weeks. So, but what could he do for him? Leizer racked his brains out, and then he realized the only thing he could do is to give the boy his personal security. What was the security of Leizer Nanes? Leizer Nanes always was looking forward to see how he could keep the Yomim Tovim and the Shabbos. He never desecrated the Shabbos because he knew that he could work for the jailers and work so hard for 6 days that they would let him off for Shabbos. And that's what he did for 20 years. Leizer was also worried about Pesach. From the beginning of, from the end of Pesach in one year to the next Pesach, he was worried about how he's going to get kosher food for Pesach. So his wife, amongst other things, would send him little packets of sugar. The packets were a teaspoon of sugar, a tablespoon of sugar. Yeah, they're sugar packets. The jailers didn't consider them too much of a problem. Let him have it. And over a year, he collected many packets of sugar. What was it worth? It was worth gold. Because on Pesach, if he couldn't get his matzahs, because quite often the jailers would not allow you to get your matzahs. After Pesach, you got your matzahs. Maror, it was bitter without the maror. Wine they never had. Matzah, sometimes it came, sometimes it didn't come. The only thing you could eat from the prison was maybe potatoes, if you trusted that they wouldn't mix it into any other vessel. For the most part, the Hasidim fasted. So you needed to have something to give you some nourishment during the day to survive. Just to survive, they shouldn't die. Water, and what else? Sugar. Sugar was enough to give you some energy, so he took a few packets of sugar each day, and that's how he survived for 8 days without matzah. So he took from his cachet, where he held it, it was either inside one of his coat pockets, suit pockets, shirt pockets, somewhere on his body or under his bed, in his mattress, we don't know. But he took out a packet of sugar, put it in his hand, and as the next day, as he walks past this young man, he gives his hand into his hand. The young man fingers what he gives him and makes like nothing of it and goes further. Next day, the same thing happened. This happens a few days in a row. And suddenly he sees that the young man's eyes are not sunken. He looks healthier, happier. This went on for about a month. After the month, he never saw him again. Fast forward about 15 years, he's in Siberia in a camp where there are no fences. There are guards with guns, but there are no fences. You can run anywhere you want. Why? Because if it snows in Siberia, it can snow even in the summer. If it snows, you're a dead man. It snows 30, 40 inches at one time, and there's no place you can go because there's no yishuv, there's no city within 100 kilometers of you. You're in the middle of nowhere. You can't get away, even if you run away. And in this barren area, frozen tundra, Leizer Nanes caught a cold, caught a fever. And he said they measured it in the hospital. They had what kind of hospital they had? They had a thermometer. The thermometer read 40 Celsius. It's 104 degrees. That's quite hot. Trust me. I once had 104. I thought I was burning up. And he couldn't move. And the warden decided he was going to take the entire jail, the entire group that he had, and he's going to move them 20 miles away, 30 kilometers away, because there they needed workers. So he had to have everybody moving, including Nanes, who didn't do physical work. He did accounting. He was the accountant for the camps in Siberia, for several camps. And so they say, get moving. And he says, I can't move. I'm sleeping. I got 104 degrees. Guy says, if you don't move, I'm going to shoot you. So he gets his coat on, walks out, takes 2 steps, and he collapses into the snow. Collapses into the snow. The guard says, get up! He says, I can't. I'm sick, I can't move. The guard says, if you don't move, I'm going to shoot you. So he says, what can I do? I can't move. And the guard, he saw that the guard didn't want to kill him. And most prisoners would turn around and let the guard shoot him in the back of the neck, back of the head. Most painless, and you didn't see it. But Reb Leizer Nanes had a bracha from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, from the Frierdiker, the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, who the Zwiler Rebbe testified. The Zwiler, Reb Shloimke Zwiler, who's one of the greatest Chassidish Rebbes of the previous generation, told Matis Deutsch, Chassidish Yid in Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, Erste Matis. I always thought that the Tzaddik Adur was somebody else, and I asked in heaven, and they told me his name is Yosef Yitzchok. And this Rebbe, the Tzaddik Adur, the Rebbe of Yosef Yitzchok, told Leizer, you'll be by them a long time. I repeated, a long time. A long time means 10 years. A long time twice means 20. He was there 20 years. But if you will have the mindset that whatever you see has got nothing to do with you, you'll go out as if nothing happened. So he had a bracha from the Rebbe that he would go out as if nothing happened. So he knew something had to happen. So he wanted to see, he told me, he just wanted to see how the miracle, how he would be saved. He's lying down like this on the ground, on the snow, in his coat, warm, whatever, but he's lying down, and the guard has a dog, a vicious dog, and the guard unravels some of the leash of that vicious dog. He says, get him! And the dog jumps onto Leizer Nanes and jumps on his face with his fangs and his spittle and his bark right into his eyes. And the fright of a vicious dog getting ready to tear your face and bite you and bite off your nose and bite off your eyes shocked him so much. The guard pulled him back, and his body was shaking, and he gets up, and the adrenaline was flowing, and it was so powerful that he got up, he went to the front of the line, and he got there first. He was the first one there, 20 miles. So when he gets there, he turns to the guard, and he says, thank you. Thank you for saving my life, because he knew that he would have had to shoot him. So the guard says, you don't recognize me? He says, no. He says, 15 years ago, you saw a teenager, and for a month you put your life on the line, and you gave that teenager sugar. Remember? He says, yeah. That's me. I was depressed. I was sure nobody cared. My parents had died, and nobody else was interested in me. And you showed me that somebody cares even in Siberia, even in the jail, the most vicious jail. When I saw that, it gave me encouragement to continue to live. And I got out. A year or two later, I got out. I had no place to go, so I became a guard. And I vowed to myself that if I would ever see you, I would do you a favor, I would help you. Meirei v'Rabbi Yisai. The young man wasn't even Jewish. But Reb Leizer understood you have to help a person even in the darkest places, even in Siberia, even in a jail, at your own risk. He risked his life, and he also risked his health because he was giving away his stash of sugar for Pesach. And that's what it means for Osu Li Migdash, sanctify my name in this world wherever you are. And V'shachanti b'seichem, I will dwell in their midst. When Leizer Nanes came out, he had incredible charisma, incredible influence on people. One of the greatest Rabbanim in Lubavitch today is a Talmud of Reb Leizer. I won't tell you who it is, but Reb Leizer brought him to Lubavitch. Because Reb Leizer had God, Yeshachanti B'Seichem, the Eibishter dwelt within him, because he made a sanctuary everywhere, even in Siberia. A good Shabbos.